Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great day. So I found these adorable kitty cat hand towels for the kitchen from TJ Maxx. TJ Maxx is my favorite place to find these. They have the cutest little hand towels, seasonal, you name it, they've got all kinds of cute stuff. Anyway, I found these super cute kitty cat ones that I wanted to hang on the handle on my oven, but they kept falling off. So I need to find a way to hold them on so they don't fall off. I know there's all different types of ways to do that. A lot of times people will use pot holders, you can crochet stuff. There's all different types of ways. So I'm going to show you today what I did to make sure that my kitty cat hand towels don't fall off the oven handle. So it's going to look like this. I did do a crochet method. A lot of times the crochet will narrow and come up and then have a fold over with a button on the back, but I decided to make mine look a little bit more like a pot holder with a button on the back. Unfortunately, this is a button that's a little bit too small. I should be using a bigger button. These are all I had, so I'm going to change those out a little bit later. But anyway, so we're going to get started. I'm going to show you how I made this. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is crochet my little square. I'm going to use my handy dandy 4.5 millimeter crochet hook. I'm not really sure what weight yarn this is. It's just something I had here in the house that kind of matched my hand towel, so I decided to use it. Plus teal is my favorite color. So I'm going to start with crocheting a chain of 15 because this little holder dude was 15 stitches across and 8 stitches long. So I'm gonna just get my chain started here and just do a basic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. After I've changed my 15, I'm going to add an additional chain, and then I'm going to start with a single chain in the second chain from the hook. And then just do my double crochet like that. And then I'm going to make sure to go all the way across. So that's 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, so there's my first row of 15 stitches across. So I need to make 7 more to make the square for that. So let me finish making those up. So on this last row, that's where I'm going to put my little loop for my buttons here. And it's going to be halfway through. So it's 15 across. So when I get to number 8, I'm going to put the little loop on there. So 1, 2, 3, 7, number 8. Once I do the double stitch, I'm going to chain 8, 6, chain 6, 8, chain 8. That's what I did on the rest of them. Sorry about that. So then after I've chained 8, then I'm going to go back into the side of that last double stitch that I did there and join it with a slip stitch. Now I'm going to continue on to number 9 here. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that is 8, and I've got my little button hook there. So I'm going to snip this yarn and pull it through to kind of finish it off there. Now I'm going to put my trim on. This is a cute little yarn I found back, I found it at Dollar Tree a couple years back. I've been just holding on to it. I thought it would be super cute because it almost looks like it's a little furry cat, and with this being a cat hand towel, I thought it'd be perfect. So I'm just going to add a little ruffly looking trim with this particular yarn. So I'm going to start back at the top here in the right hand corner. And pick up my white thread, my white yarn here. And pull it through. And then I'm going to just do a single chain. And then I'm going to do a single chain around. So when I go in these single chains here, I'm just going to kind of go over and loop the yarn around these couple here till I can trim them off. I'm going to do a couple of them first, and then I'll trim these ends off of there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and clip these ends. I'm going to continue around. So I'm going to push my little loop down because I don't want to pull that guy in. I want to make sure he stays out to grab my button whenever it's time. So I'm just going to keep going around, putting one single chain in each around here at the top. So now I did my single chains all the way across the top. When I get to number 15 here, I'm going to put 3 single chains in that particular space. Now I'm back at this corner, so I need to put 3 in this one as well. So that's my base for my ruffle. I'm now going to go around and add the ruffle part, and that'll finish up our square. So what I'm going to do is in the first here, I'm going to put 5 double crochets. And then I'm going to put 1 single crochet, and then the next one is another 5 double crochets, and then a single, and then 5 double. And then I'm going to join this here with a little slip stitch. All right, and then I'm going to clip it off and leave a little bit of a tail. Do a little finish off here. And I'm going to go in here in just a few minutes with the needle and kind of stitch that back through here a little bit. All right, I'm going to take a crochet thread needle or just a wide mouth needle or something like that here to use this yarn to stick the yarn through. I'm going to kind of just take and loop it back through, kind of stitch it through some of the other stitches that are there. And now take and just kind of loop it through, feed it through these bottom stitches here. And then now I'm just going to clip that extra little tail off because we don't need the rest of that. All right, so we're done with that portion. Next, I'm going to sew this portion onto my hand towel here. I did not iron this because it still kind of has the crease a little bit from where it was folded. I did go in a second ago and put some little guide pins in here kind of in the center so I know where I'm going to pin this portion on it. So I'm going to take and in this the seam here between the first row and the second row, that's where I want to put on the middle section here because I want to have a little bit of overhang so you can kind of see the pretty little decorations and stuff here on the front of the hand towel. So I'm going to pin it between those two rows. And then I want to sew the bottom of that first row on as well. So I'm going to go ahead and pin that one down too. So I pinned this on with both little rows there, but I pinned it so that the loop for our button is on the outside, so that it'll kind of go over the top like that and hold the whole thing down. You can do it the other way if you want as well. My other hand towel, not the cat one, but a different one, is flipped the other way, but I chose to do this one that particular way. So now we can just sew that on. I'm going to start with the first one that I pinned, which is that crease between this first and second row, which is right kind of on the middle of the hand towel. So I want to start with that row. And then kind of get it prepared here. Now I'm going to go ahead and sew that first row as well. Tie them off here. I just usually pull the top thread through so I can tie them all on the bottom. All right, and I'm gonna clip my extra pieces off here. My little leftover bits. All right, so now you can see we have sewed that on. There we go. Now we're just going to take and stitch the button on and then stitch the cute little bow that I have on the front here, and then we'll be all finished. So like I said, I'm using this little button here. This is all I have, so I'm just going to use it as a temporary for now. I'll get some bigger buttons and put those on later, but for now I can just use this one. I'm going to stitch it about in the center here. I'm just going to use regular needle and thread to stitch that on and just go through the button a few times just to secure it. I'm just going to use some white thread here. I'm pulling a little extra because I'm going to use the same white thread when I go to put the button, not the button, when I go to put the bow on the front. Oops. I'm just going to tie these two together and make a little loop for me to secure the thread to the crocheted piece. I'll just trim that little extra off because we don't need it. I'm going to go through that center crochet here, stitch, and then go back through my thread so that I can secure the thread to the crocheted piece here. There we go. Now we can start putting the button on. I'm going to go through one side, go through the other side. And then stitch that back and just kind of go through that a few times, go through all of the holes on the button to secure it down. I'm going to tie my button off. Usually to tie it off, what I like to do is just feed the thread back through just a little bit and then clip it. Not pulling it all the way through, but leave a little bit on each side so that I can pull a piece through back through, and one, so there'll be one on each side of the crochet, and then I can just tie it off like that. And now I can snip that extra thread off of there. All right, now we officially have our button, and this will just fasten on just like that, so that that can hang over the handle on the stove. Now I'm just going to go back in and stitch my little bow on just like that, kind of where the button tugs. there, put the little bow to kind of hide that tug. So I'm going to just take the same thread that I have left over here on the needle and do another little tie at the end so I can loop it through just like I did with the button to secure it to the crochet. And I'm going back to the middle here, kind of right where the button is on the opposite side. So I'm going to loop through my thread, and now that's secured to the crochet. And then just go through with the bow on one side, a little bit over here, and pull that close. Now I can kind of do like I did with the button. I'm just going to loop it back through the crochet here and go back through the bow and do that a couple of times. On the bow, I'm trying to make sure that I'm kind of hitting the same hole on either side, because I don't want to have the thread all over the top of the bow. I just want it kind of in the center just to hold it steady and hold it still on the crochet. Alright, I'm going to loop through one more time, I think, and then this will be done. And then I'm going to tie it off just like I did with the button. I'm just going to pull it halfway through a little bit here, leaving a little bit on either side, and just clip it off so I can tie it. All right. All right. And there you have it. How cute is that? So what I would suggest with the cross grain bow or ribbon like this, the ends will fray, but you can use a lighter to just kind of melt those ends just a little bit, and it'll keep it from fraying on you. So that way if you wash it or anything like that, it won't get messed up. All right, so there you go. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.